Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about something that I feel like confuses people a lot, and it's actually confused me a lot, but it's a topic I think that's really important to talk about. So, yeah, I'm just going to get right into it. So, people, I feel like, are very quick to assume that people who are socially anxious are introverts. And I think it's because people don't really know that they have social anxiety. So they kind of just assume that, oh, they must be introverted and, oh, they don't really like to talk to people much because they're introverts. But to me, um, I feel like this is a really negative, bad thing to do because when you just assume that someone who has anxiety is an introvert, there's a lot of extroverted people living with social anxiety. And I feel like these people are really misunderstood because people just assume that because they, don't talk a lot, oh, they must not like talking to people. But, the reality is there's a lot of extroverts living with social anxiety. So the way I look at it is people who are socially anxious, like me, um, usually what that is, like fearing that people are going to judge you and like constantly feeling like everything you say, people will think you're so stupid and you fear like the worst possible outcome every time you say something. That's, kind of like the gist of what social anxiety is to me. Being an introvert is more just like, you get more energy out of doing things alone and you enjoy doing things alone and that's fun for you. Although introverts, do, like having their small circle of people that they can talk to. So it's not that introverts like don't like talking to people at all, I guess. They just, you know, they do get more energy out of doing things alone and they get overwhelmed, I feel like, if they spend too much time in group settings. So to me that's like kind of like what being an introvert is. So I think it's just important to clarify. In the video, I talked about, having no friends. I mentioned that I'm actually like an extrovert. Like I said, that I'm an ENFP personality type. I took the personality test a few times, and I actually switched like a couple times between being an INFP and an ENFP. So my feeling is like I think I'm actually like somewhere like right in the middle. I think I'm like actually more an ambivert, which is someone who's kind of like both an introvert and an extrovert. Um, so like for me, like I like enjoy doing like both introverted and extroverted activities, um, but I can also get really drained by both of those activities like pretty easily. So I think for me like I'm actually like somewhere like more in the middle, you know. Anyway, for me, in my experience with social anxiety and all that, feeling like, people are going to judge me and think I'm like weird and annoying and all that stuff. For me, there's always been times when I've really wanted to talk to people and, I just haven't been able to because of anxiety. And I think a lot of those times people just assumed like, oh, he doesn't really like talking to people, or they actually thought I was being kind of, you know, or they thought I was like pushing them away, like I didn't want to talk to them at all, and they should just like leave me alone. But that's like not how I felt. Like I felt like I really wanted to talk to people and like I wanted to be friends with people. And I think when you don't talk to people, people are very quick to assume, oh, that person doesn't like talking to people. That person's an introvert. Um, and for me, it wasn't like that. So that was just very frustrating for me. And I feel like other people can relate to that. I feel like I'm not the only one who deals with this. And I felt like it's something that's really important to talk about. For me, it was really frustrating, like being placed in a box like that. People like assuming like, oh, he's really introverted. Because, the reality is like, I actually really like talking to people. I mean, I feel like, as an ambivert, I mean, I'm somewhere right in between. So like, yeah, like I do like introverted stuff. Like sometimes I just like to, stay at home and like watch movies and on Netflix and stuff and, go on YouTube and play video games and, all that stuff. But um, for me, I feel like I do like talking to people, and I also like doing like very extroverted activities. So it's just frustrating when, you have social anxiety and you have trouble talking to people, that people just kind of start to ignore you because they assume like you don't want to talk to them. I mean, like, it's actually painful for me when I go like long periods of time without socializing with people. Like, I just get like, incredibly lonely, and it hurts. So, yeah, I just feel like, don't just assume someone who doesn't talk a lot is just like so heavily introverted that they don't want to talk to people. By the way, I just want to be clear, like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being like heavily introverted. Like, I think being heavily introverted is awesome, and like, we're all unique, and being unique is cool. So, I just feel like there's just like this narrative I feel like we need to change, where it's like, I feel like a lot of people just aren't really educated on this topic, and they don't really understand even like what social anxiety is. And, you know, so it's very easy to confuse, someone who doesn't talk a lot with just being like very heavily introverted. What's worse about it actually is that I feel like people, like for me, in my experience, I thought for a long time that I actually was like heavily introverted because, I didn't have friends for a long time. So I kind of just assumed like, oh, I guess maybe that's just who I am. Maybe I'm just like meant to be like a heavily introverted person who does introverted activities and just, hibernates and stays away from people. So I feel like people are starting to, extroverts or people who are, at least maybe a little bit extroverted, are starting to assume about themselves that they are introverted, when the reality is that no, it's just that they have social anxiety, and it's, making it hard for them to talk to people. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to put the personality test in the description of this video, because, I just feel like it's a fun thing to take, but it's also like it was like a really valuable thing for me, like, helping to learn about myself and my personality type. And it actually, gave me like more confidence because, it tells you a lot about, your pros, some of your weaknesses, but, overall it really helped me, get like a, better understanding of myself. And, it taught me about things about myself that I'd never even really considered that are like positive things, and that made me happy. So, I just feel like, hey guys, if you want to, take this test too, go ahead, because I think it can be a confidence builder and really help you, do some self-reflection. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, I think the point I'm trying to make is like, you know, introversion and anxiety, social anxiety, two very different things. And, I feel like if you know someone who's quiet and doesn't really talk to people, don't just assume they're like really introverted and, don't really like talking to people or anything like that. Um, some people just kind of need to, have a conversation initiated with them to kind of get them going to, you know, build their confidence, I guess, because some people just don't have the confidence with anxiety to, go up to people and talk to them. And it actually makes them really lonely because they do want to talk to people and they do want to have friends. And this was a problem I had a lot in the past. I do want to point something out that's actually really important. So when you go up to a quiet kid and you try to like initiate a conversation with them, please do not ask them why they do not talk. It is the worst question ever. I've had people ask me this question a million times, and every time it has just made me feel like complete shit, honestly, because it just really rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't know if it's like disrespectful or anything, but it just makes you feel like really dumb. I don't know. It really is always just rubs me the wrong way when people ask me that. And I feel like it's always made me want to crawl further and further into my shell with my social anxiety when people ask me, hey, why don't you talk? It's just, honestly, it's a stupid question, in my opinion. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Being an introvert is awesome. Being an extrovert is awesome. And being an ambivert is awesome. So just be yourself, because, you're probably a pretty cool person. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. So yeah.